Nebulon B Frigates. Some people swear by them. Some people think if you can get them to do more than just get destroyed, then so much the better, otherwise they're a big point sink. Either way, today I'm going to show you how to fly the Nebulon B Frigate.
This is the captain. Brace for impact.
As always, there are two variants. You have the support refit at 51 points and the Escort Frigate at 57 points. The only difference between the two is that the Escort Frigate comes with Squadron 2 rather than Squadron 1, and it has 2 blue anti-squadron dice, whereas the support refit only has 1. So this ship comes with 3 shields on the front, 2 shields on the aft, and 1 shield each on the sides. It also has 2 brace tokens and a evade token, and it comes with a turbo laser slot, a support slot, and an officer slot. Oddly enough, FFG seems to think that for 56 points, which is less than an Escort Frigate, that a Gladiator is on the same par, where you have 3 shields at the front, 2 shields on the side, and 1 on the back, a redirect token, and more slots. Now generally you're not going to run more than one of these things, and when you do, you're not going to run them without a title, and there are 3 titles to choose from. So the first title I'll cover is Salvation. Now what Salvation does is it turns your critical hit into 2 damage and the critical effect. So what this means is you'll now have 3 facings on the 8-sided dice that actually does double damage. This is a big deal since only 5 out of the 8 facings on a dice, on one of these red dice, actually have hits on them. You'll want to have this title on a support refit because simply they're cheaper and you're not using the squadron value anyway. Now when it comes to upgrades, these are the only upgrades I use with Salvation. So Spinal Armament speaks for itself. You want an extra red dice in there. TICs I would use to guarantee that critical hit on one of the red dice. XI7s pairs really well with Intel Officer, so if you roll really high, they won't be able to redirect as much of the damage, and you can Intel their brace. Ramus Antilles, very important. You're going to be using Concentrate Fire most of the time, so Ramus allows you to get that Concentrate Fire token, which means you'll be able to re-roll a dice. And red dice being red dice, you know, you'll get that blank and you're going to re-roll it. Now Salvation works with most Rebel commanders. There is a special mention for Commander Sato where it is possible in the right circumstances that you can do 13 damage, and that's rolling 3 black dice and 2 reds. And the way you do that is your dice pool is going to consist of 4 reds initially because you have Spinal Armaments. You replace 2 with 2 blacks, and then you Concentrate Fire in your last black. So if you score all criticals for that, you should end up with 13 damage. Of course, you're not going to get that all the time. I mean, like, let's be real here. When I roll, okay, cool, concentrate in a black, and yep, and then because I've got Ramus, re-roll the black. Alright, so we've got a total there of 2 plus 3, 5, 6 damage. So what you want to do with Salvation is deploy it in front of a ship that's quite large, preferably slow, and doesn't have an evade token. And generally this is because you're going to have a dice pool of 3 and you're going to end up with at least one of them is blank. So the evade will cancel out another dice. So here's an example. There we go. I've only got 1 hit and they'll just use evade to dodge that one. Pretty annoying. Also, these bigger and slower ships have a much more predictable path that they're going to fly, which means if you deploy right in front of them with Salvation, you're going to have more opportunities to fire. So because of this, I recommend deploying at speed 2, and then on your first command dial can do a navigate command, bank a token, and then once you're in range, use the navigate token to slow down to speed 1. Then after this, every command from turn 2 onwards should be a Concentrate Fire token. Command. Our second title is Yavaris. So what Yavaris does is allow squadrons to attack twice, so long as they don't move. Now, for obvious reasons, you want to use this on the Escort Frigate because it has 2 squadron activations. So some upgrade cards that go really well with Yavaris include Ramus Antilles. Obviously, if you activate squadrons with Yavaris and you have Ramus, you can do 3 instead of 2. You have also the option of using a flight commander, which lets you use your squadron command after you've moved with Yavaris. And this follows on with fighter coordination teams, which pairs really well with flight commander. So after you move, you can then move 2 of your squadrons distance 1, and then resolve your squadron command with flight commander. And then you also have General Riken. Now, Riken is very interesting because he keeps Yavaris alive for another turn if it gets destroyed, or you can use his ability on one of the unique squadrons. So squadrons you want to pair up with Yavaris are generally high damage output. So if your target is to destroy ships, then you're going to use bombers such as B-Wings, H6 Skirgs, 10 Num, or was it Nim, and Luke Skywalker. So if your aim is to destroy the enemy squadrons, you can combo Yavaris with things like Dutch Vander. So he lets you toggle the enemy squadrons if they're unactivated. So with Yavaris, you're going to be able to do that with 2. Wedge. So very nice combo with Yavaris and Dutch. So if Wedge attacks activated squadron, he can roll 6 blue dice instead of his 4. So with Yavaris, you're going to be able to roll 12 dice. And then if you have Adar Talon somewhere, then you can possibly roll 18 dice, averaging 9 damage. And then you have 10 Num. So what 10 Num does is if you roll a blue critical, then you can do 1 damage to everything around the target, similar to like a Mauler effect. So if you're lucky with Yavaris and you roll it twice, that's 2 damage against everything in that bubble. So just to demonstrate the Yavaris Flight Commander and Fighter Coordination Team combo, we'll do a simulated attack on this Gladiator Star Destroyer. So Yavaris activates, it's a squadron command, uses Flight Commander, so instead of resolving it now, it's going to resolve after it moves. So first off, it does its normal dice attack against the front of the Gladiator. Alright, we've rolled 1 damage. Okay, so the Gladiator is going to dodge that, obviously. Alright, so then Yavaris moves in there, and then because of fighter coordination teams, we're going to move 2 squadrons distance 1, so here and here. Okay, and because he's got Flight Commander, he's going to activate 3 squadrons because it's say, hey, he's got a squadron token from somewhere. So the first squadron goes, let's go do this B-Wing. Alright, they do a black and a blue with bomber. Alright, so we've got 3 damage. This puts the Gladiator in an awkward spot, so they'll probably do a brace and a redirect, doing down to 2 damage, which they'll put all on this side. Alright, the next attack, second attack, because it hasn't moved. Alright, also does 3 damage. Man, rolling hot today. This guy would probably use just redirect, burn the redirect. Alright, so take all the shields there and then go 1 shield to the front. Alright, 10 Num goes next. He activates. First attack does 2 damage. He'll probably burn brace, so he's down to 1 shield at the front. Alright, second attack from 10 Num does 2 damage. There's no brace, there's no redirect, so he's taking 1 and it's down to 4 hull. Alright. Second guy attacks, third guy attacks. First attack does 2 damage, so it's down to 2 hull, and then the last attack. Alright, we've done 2 damage and an accuracy. Accuracy doesn't matter. So 2 damage, that kills the Gladiator with a critical. Now I know what you're thinking, why did I not mention Adar Talon as an officer slot for Yavaris? Now the reason for this is because you actually want Adar Talon on another ship. Now what Adar Talon does is when you activate a squadron using Adar Talon, that squadron then becomes unactivated, so it can activate again later in the turn. So what you want to do is actually use Ada Talon to activate, say, this H6 Scourge, come in, do an attack. Now it's in position. Now you can get your Varus to activate it, so it doesn't have to move, and now it can attack twice. The third and last title is Redemption. Redemption gives a friendly ship from distance 1 to 5 an extra engineering point when they do a engineering command. I won't talk too much about Redemption. If you do take Redemption, you generally have it on a support refit because it's cheaper, and you'd run it with projection experts, and it will act as a repair boat pretty much. Now, there are a few inherent weaknesses with the Nebulon B. One of the biggest flaws it has is a huge side arc with only one shield, which is further exacerbated by the point that it doesn't come with a redirect token. So unlike Corvettes, where we want to get a double arc most of the time, with a Nebulon B, you actually don't want that to happen, because chances are, if you can shoot your side at the enemy, then the enemy can shoot your side, which you actually don't want. And the other problem is, because you're going to be running your Varus or Salvation, chances are you're only going to be doing concentrate fire or a squadron command on your dial. So you're not going to be doing navigate, and the turning circle on a Nebulon B frigate isn't that maneuverable compared to a Corvette. So what ends up happening is it becomes a big target for things like gladiators to come in real close and first last you, like I've showed you in the last video. Or something bigger like an ISD would just naturally be able to see the side arc. The most annoying thing of all, squadrons, enemy squadrons that come in on the side and attack you and just do tickle damage to you, but there's nothing you can do, and you're forced to take it. The other weakness is, despite having 5 hull, 3 shields at the front, it's still a pretty flimsy ship, and that's because over time, if you're flying at slow speed head on to the enemy, it's going to be taking hits over time, and probably before turn 4 your Varus or Salvation will be destroyed just by normal means of combat. There are a couple of ways around the weaknesses. I mean, if you have your Varus, the squadron problem shouldn't be that much of a problem because you'll have your own squadrons to screen. But another thing you can do to support your Nebulons is to have blockers on the side, so that way your sides are protected against like attackers such as like a Gladiator Star Destroyer, which can't actually come in to the side to attack because it's blocked by the GR-75, and then in return you're going to activate your squadron and bomb the shit out of that Gladiator. Now, one cheeky thing you can do to keep your Nebulon alive possibly a turn longer is to somehow bank an engineering token either on the first turn or get an engineering token there from a CommsNet GR-75. Now, what this lets you do is, if you start running out shields at the front, you spend your engineering token and then transfer 2 shields from the rear, because who needs the shields there anyway, and put them to the front. And this could potentially let you live for another turn. The other weakness with your Varus is it can't be equipped with boosted comms. So this means you can only activate squadrons within medium range. So because your squadrons can't move in order to get the Varus benefit, you might be in a pickle if your squadrons leap out of range of your Varus. The other cheeky thing that you can do to keep your Varus alive is fly it away from the enemy ships and have a few relay squadrons in play. So these 2 VCX here. So that way you can now activate your squadrons from a distance, like the other side of the board, and if they don't move, they're going to benefit from the Varus attack, whilst keeping your ship safe. The other cheeky thing you can do is have it come in from hyperspace with 3 other squadrons. So coming behind this ISD, and then you chuck in your 2 B-Wings and a H6 there, and that's, a total of 6 bomber dice that you can roll. And of course, because you're your Varus, you can roll that 6 dice again. Now, I'll mention it again, Riken's a pretty big deal when it comes to Yavaris. It allows Yavaris to attack again, or use the squadron command again if it gets destroyed, which most likely will happen. And if the squadrons go down, and if they're aces, then they'll be able to attack twice using Yavaris before they get removed from the board, if they get destroyed. So that's it for Nebulon B Frigates on how to fly them. Generally in a fleet, they're going to act as support ships, because so like for Salvation it's going to be a gunship support, whereas Yavaris is going to be squadron support. And you can think of them as glass cannons. They're going to have high damage output. That's not so reliable, especially if it's Salvation. And yeah, they're easily destroyable. Now, if you want them to be a key player, then they're going to need support themselves. So generally GR75s will support Nebulons really greatly, because you can use them as blockers. And I'll explain more about that in the next video. But basically, you're going to use them to block the sides of the Nebulons to prevent it from being destroyed too early. And the GR75s themselves can support the squadrons, such as the ones that they're going to be attacking with Yavaris. So it's going to have Bomber Command Center to allow them to re-roll against ships. You might have Torrent Far to let them re-roll against squadrons or against ships if they've got blue dice. Or you might even have Ada Talon, so that allows the squadrons to activate again, especially if you've got Yavaris there, so it's going to have 3 attacks possibly. You're going to have ComsNet as well, so if your Yavaris or Salvation doesn't have the ability to collect tokens, then the ComsNet will allow that to happen. Other than that, generally most of the time you're going to need another ship or another strategy of some kind to finish the end game. So with Salvation, it's going to do high damage, but most likely it won't be able to destroy a ship on its own, so it's going to need something else to finish it off. So something like a Liberty or an MC-80 is a great way to finish off a ship. Same thing for Yavaris. You might be able to destroy a bunch of their squadrons, but you might need another carrier, such as an assault frigate, to finish off the ships or the squadrons in the field. And especially because Yavaris can only activate a maximum of 3 squadrons, you might need another ship such as that assault frigate to activate the rest of the squadrons. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if there's any other ships you want to do a captain's clinic on. Otherwise, please support us on our Patreon page. We are trying to get a Scarif Gate for our nerf herding series. Otherwise, guys, this is veteran Captain Ken signing out. Good luck at your regionals event.